And we do start with this developing news and another warning for women at UNM. Police tell us a woman there says a guy groped her overnight. And if you remember, this comes just about a week after another woman said the same thing happened to her.
That's right. This latest incident happened near Castetter Hall, that is on the southern part of the campus just off of Central. And that is where our News 13's David Romero is live right now. David, what else have you learned about this?
Well, Elizabeth, the biggest thing we need to pass along from police is a warning to women to be on high alert. And of course, as you said, they have gotten about 2 reports of attacks within the last week. The latest happening, as you mentioned, near Castetter Hall on UNM campus just last night. Now, this is where the woman told police that a man grabbed her and groped her. She says the man was a white male and he was wearing a red sweater at the time. Now, this was the scene last night as it happened right after the incident. Remember, if you remember last week, a woman had a similar story, and she says she was jogging near Johnson Field when 2 black men grabbed her and groped her. Police are still trying to find whoever did that, and they say they should have more information about it this week and possibly as early as today. Now, right now, police do not know if the 2 cases may be connected. And of course, again, they want women to be extra careful, especially in the dark while walking around campus and any location during the night. Back to you.
Yeah, very true. Very good advice. Thank you, David. UNM police are setting up a tip line, hoping to get information about whoever may be groping women and about other crimes in general. That hotline should be up and running later this week, and when it is, we'll let you know the number. And this just in, a bad wreck from early this morning in the far Northeast Heights. A Mini Cooper split nearly in half at Tennyson and San Antonio this morning. The crash happened about 4 a.m. It appears the Mini Cooper was traveling eastbound and failed to navigate the curb. Police at the scenes have not been able to locate the driver of the vehicle. You can see the damage is quite significant. At last word, police were searching the area for the driver.
It's a good thing it doesn't look like anyone's in the passenger seat there. All right, we now know more about the man accused of robbing a bank in Albuquerque last weekend, suspected of robbing 5 more. He has a history of rape and robbery. Investigators caught this man, Charles Mullahan, right after they say he robbed the New Mexico Educators Federal Credit Union on Coors Northwest Friday afternoon. Investigators also think that Mullahan's the same guy who robbed 5 other banks in the last few weeks. However, you should know he's not been charged with any of that. Police also wanted Mullahan, saying he violated his probation for robbing a 7-Eleven in 2005. Plus, back in 1997, he pled guilty to kidnapping and 2 counts of rape. And investigators are still looking for the man in this surveillance picture who robbed a bank in Espanola yesterday morning. They say this man went into Wells Fargo on Riverside Drive about 10:30, gave the teller a note demanding cash, then left in an older tan or brown station wagon. If you know where he might be, please call police.
The Safe City Strike Force team has the demolition of one problematic house on the fast track now. This is video from a neighbor's surveillance camera showing an explosion at the house near Candelaria and Wantabo late Sunday night. That fire caused so much damage that officials want it gone as soon as possible. You might remember a large fire there last month. The 84-year-old owner, Juanita Adams, was found dead inside. Adams lived with her son. Medical investigators have not determined if the fire killed her or if she died from some other cause. Neighbors say there have been problems at this home for many years. And firefighters now have a new way of fighting big fires like that and keeping themselves safe at the same time.
The lessons learned here came from the huge Royal Crown apartment fire. This was 2 years ago in Albuquerque. You remember 47 apartments burned at this big complex off Gibson. 4 firefighters actually fell when the roof collapsed there. Thankfully, they were okay, but the department didn't want anything like this to happen again and risk firefighters getting even more hurt. So now firefighters have changed how they call for help. Plus, they now call in after they've searched every few apartments rather than waiting until they've gone through all of them.
We sort of caught ourselves in what we call a residential mindset. We used house fire tactics at an apartment complex and it didn't work.
All right, the firefighters in charge are also using a command training center and simulator to test how well they make decisions when big fires happen. Well, this morning, a couple in Durango is mourning the loss of its son who was killed in an avalanche last weekend. Authorities say Peter Carver and 2 of his friends were skiing north of Silverton in the Corkscrew Gulch area when they triggered that avalanche. It buried Carver in 5 feet of snow. He died after that. The other men were pinned against trees, but somehow they survived. Peter Carver here was 23 years old. He was going to Fort Lewis College. And search and rescue crews are still combing Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park for a man who's originally from Roswell. Troy Green was going from San Antonio, where he lives now, to Denver for a conference last week, but he never showed up. Two hikers say they ran into Mr. Green Thursday afternoon, but he has not been seen since, and now his family and friends are quite worried about him.
Just hoping for the best, crossing my fingers that something happened, that they're going to be able to find him and he'll be okay and get to come home.
Rescue crews are now using helicopters and dogs to search for Troy Green.
A Laguna Pueblo man gets just 6 months in jail after killing a bicyclist. Gilbert Wakanda pleaded guilty in October to negligent homicide in the death of Pennsylvania cyclist John Anzarski. The Albuquerque Journal reports that the judge gave Wakanda the maximum under the deal, which was 182 days in jail plus 600 hours of community service. Anzarski was riding cross-country with the Pink Petal group back in June of 2010, raising funds for awareness for breast cancer. Wakanda veered out of his lane and hit the bicyclist from behind on the Laguna Pueblo, then took off. At last report, one of New Mexico's most wanted men is behind bars. U.S. Marshals say they got a tip that 27-year-old Jeremy Conde was staying with a woman at a house in Roswell. They found him Sunday hiding in the kitchen. His extensive criminal history spans 3 states for crimes that include aggravated assault, robbery, and rape.